According to a recent article in the Washington Post, Twitter employees have uncovered some operatives that were pretending to be American influencers. So now, apparently, these operatives were working for the Chinese government. Now, in a cache of data released by employees at Twitter, nearly 2,000 users were uncovered as they claimed election rigging and attacked members of the transgender community. And so they also had promoted, unsurprisingly, pro-Chinese narratives to their American audience. Now, the disclosure by Twitter adds to what is known about China-based efforts to influence American audiences by mimicking the strategies of Russia-based operatives used to stoke culture and political tensions during the 2016 election, said the Post. Now, in September, Meta had announced that it had also disrupted a China-based operation seeking to influence U.S. politics. The government has also issued warnings about Chinese influence efforts and have a spate of reports from cybersecurity firms, including Google's Mandiant, Recorded Future, and the Alethea Group. So apparently this is quite widespread. Another network from Iran was uncovered, people claiming to be based in the United States or Israel. Data showed an account using the same name and logo was also present on YouTube, TikTok, and Reddit. So it's all over the place. So look, this is what I talked about when it came to bots and trolls. They come from everywhere. There's no specific country that they all come from. These ones happen to be from China, but again, as we've talked about before, you have Chinese bots and trolls, in this case, spies, Iran, Israel, the Saudis. By the way, interesting thing about the Saudis is that you have, Saudi Arabia being the number 2 most powerful owner of Twitter. Fun. Behind Elon Musk. So now it is Elon Musk and Saudi Arabia, the Saudis. Great. Fun. Now, Graham Brookie, head of the Atlantic Council's Digital Forensics Research Lab, said this, quote, "This is equal opportunity hyperpartisanship, a tactic that's been more embraced by Russia. It's the same theory of the case. A weakened adversary is one that allows you to shape geopolitics more. It's no surprise that other countries would love to shape geopolitics as much as the United States has. So, sure, that makes sense. Now, what would weaken a nation? Obvious infighting. Duh. And so, look, the reason I say that, and by the way, I know I might piss off a few people that, I generally would agree with on issues, but there is no weaker faction in U.S. politics right now than progressives, than the left. We have no political power, pretty much non-existent. And one of the reasons is that we are constantly fighting with each other and spurning potential alliances and partnerships with people that we might not 100% agree with. Well, hell, people we 90% agree with. Call them shit libs and be like, no, you must agree 100% with me 100% of the time. You are not pure enough. Now, that's not the good way to build a movement, build a coalition, or actually get some things done. Obviously, of course, I want 100% my way, but I know that in the real world, I'm not going to get that. But you push for as much as you can without trying to alienate your allies or potential allies. That said, right? Look, we're all kicking each other's asses online, of course, and on social media, but more so, you do have a lot of movements, especially on the right wing, that have been successfully destroying any trust in our institutions. And whether it be media, whether it be government programs, government institutions, etc. And now, that said, caveat, big caveat here. I'm not saying that we never are able to question anything. No, that's not what I'm saying. Obviously, there's a nuanced discussion here, right? So, for example, can you trust every press release from the State Department as absolute fact and never question it? No, that's absurd. Of course you can question it. Governments engage in propaganda. All governments do, in order to make them look good. Of course. Now, can you trust the FBI and NSA and CIA? Look, again, that's very, very dependent on what kind of information that they're claiming and what the facts are, and whether or not there is reporting of what they're actually up to. Again, there is nuance here, and I think there needs to be a healthy skepticism of a lot of these agencies. That doesn't mean that you have to throw everything out that they say. I mean, it's just as ridiculous as accepting everything that they say as 100% fact. Accepting 0% as fact, also kind of ridiculous. You kind of have to find out what's true and what's not. Now, that doesn't mean embracing every single conspiracy theory that comes across your, TV screen or your computer monitor. That said, look, I understand that not everybody has time, like I do, to hyper-analyze everything. Obviously, most people have lives. The majority of people have lives. They have jobs, they have careers, they have family, they have kids, whatever, right? I get it. So you do, for those people, understand that you should at least keep one of these things in mind. For one, I would say the more fantastical the claim, the more evidence should be required to substantiate it. So you should ask for said evidence. Not only that, but just because someone that you like or might look up to or watch, I can put myself in as an example, doesn't mean we're 100% right. And just because I believe it doesn't mean you have to believe it. No, it's incumbent upon me to present the evidence, just like anybody else. And of course, that's what you see with people like who follow Joe Rogan. And you see a lot of Joe Rogan followers that are accepting anything that he says as fact without double checking it, even though he's, in a lot of cases, monstrously wrong. Again, just because somebody you like believes something doesn't mean you should believe it. They could be wrong, and you should ask for receipts. And again, always ask for receipts. Always ask for evidence. That said, let's get to the, who these, in this case, Chinese trolls, but generally, spies and trolls and people that are trying to, do some division, so to push disinformation. Who do they seem to target the most? Well, the right wing. One network that was removed from Twitter showed 22 users that tweeted more than 250,000 times from April to October. And who did they promote? Donald Trump, along with conspiracy theories about COVID and vaccines. Because of course. Alethea, another recipient of the data, concluded that Chinese linked accounts on Twitter and elsewhere were pursuing divisiveness, but had been plugging right-wing issues more than the left. A lot of times with nods to conspiracy theories. Interesting. The newly announced batch of suspensions also promoted in May that former President Barack Obama, and this is the ultra MAGA hot babe, ultra MAGA Bella hot babe. Okay. Right.
I know words. I have the best words.
All right. Well, that account had said that former President Barack Obama was a lizard person who was a member of the Illuminati.
It's the devil, okay? It is an alien force, not of this world. It's not human intelligence!
Oh. That had 26,000 followers, that account, and had more than 400,000 likes and 180,000 retweets. Jesus Christ. She had also pushed out memes with false 2020 election conspiracies, because of course.
Big massive dumps.
And a photo of somebody holding a paper bag near a drop box where she claimed it's a mule. Proof of crime required to get paid by the DNC. It's a mule taking pictures of their muling. Wait, why would you, if you were muling, why would you provide evidence of your supposed illicit activities? That doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. Now, that same account also tweeted the idea that children with gender dysphoria were victims of child abuse, Again, absolutely ridiculous. So now, again, these are all right-wing conspiracy theories. So you might be wondering, wait, why does China keep aiming for MAGA chuds? China, I mean, aren't they communists? So why are they trying to misinform MAGA with things that MAGA believes? Well, it turns out MAGA will believe anything you tell them as long as it's not actually true. Look, and there's a reason for this, other than, of course, that they're extremely gullible and will believe just about anything that you tell them, any sort of conspiracy theory. Look, China, there are benefits. For one, the Chinese Communist Party, which the Republicans hate, right-wingers hate, well, they're pro-vaccine, obviously. MAGA is not. Why? Online conspiracy theories, of course. The real result of that is when less people are vaccinated, more of them die. Look, COVID is still going on, by the way. As of the week ending October 1st, 2022, the United States had lost nearly 1.1 million lives to COVID, including about 790,000 people aged 65 or older. People 65 and older account for 75% of all COVID deaths to date. Now, those people tend to be more or less sorry older people. I know there are a lot of great older progressives and older lefty people, but it seems like a lot of your generation drifted over towards MAGA, and that's a bummer. That sucks. And they happen to be in the larger group of people who are dying from COVID. Now, they also happen to be the ones who are the most toughest in the Chinese Communist Party. Now, another reason China seems to love the right wing is because of their policy. When they deregulate corporations and let them, without consequence, go and do manufacturing overseas to exploit Chinese labor, well, that actually helps the Chinese government. That helps their economy. We import more of their goods as a result of everything being made over there. Now we no longer make anything in this country. And that drives down wages here, by the way, which helps corporations. Corporations fund Republican politicians, mainly. So obviously, there seem to be some economic benefits for China when they support our right wing. And by the way, our right wing is also just super corrupt. They'll take money from anybody. It's amazing. Now, there's also a benefit when the right wing no longer believes in our system of government, which, again, invites all sorts of terrible things. But add to the fact that we have already an incredibly corrupt political system. We have a system where lobbying groups can come in from anywhere. I mean, look, you have a lobbying group, and this is on the Democratic side, understand, Democratic Majority for Israel. That is a conservative group that is funding Democrats, conservative Democrats. They fight progressives all the time. They've been dumping millions of dollars into state elections, to state races. Nina Turner, her opponent, former opponent, got funded massively through ads attacking Nina Turner by Democratic Majority for Israel, saying false things about Nina Turner as if she didn't support, raising the minimum wage or supporting Medicare for all. Absolutely ludicrous, ridiculous claims that were just not true. But that's what, and again, this is just one group, Democratic Majority for Israel, which, by the way, didn't even lobby on issues related to Israel. Just supported, stopping a progressive. That's one example. But then you also have lobbyists from Saudi Arabia, lobbyists from countries all over the world that take advantage of our deregulated campaign finance systems. And so we have, again, this massively political corruption in this country as a result of just not only corporate money, but also foreign lobbyist money. It's just, it's prime breeding ground for countries to come in and to influence U.S. politics. And again, I can understand why other countries would want to do so, because what the U.S. does, because of its gigantic economic presence, the gigantic military presence, which again, Republicans seem to love, which I think we should cut the military budget. Well, you know, they do all this stuff and take advantage of this system that the right wing has set up in this country. That's not to say, by the way, and again, the right wing definitely has made sure that we have more money in politics, which has also trickled into Democrats, as I mentioned before. I can't tell you that the Democrats are better on this issue now, especially when you have all members of Congress that are able to legally trade stocks while in office. And you have pharmaceutical companies and healthcare companies, I should say health insurance companies, because they don't do healthcare, coming in and, you know, influencing our politicians to vote against healthcare for everyone. So that's the issue, right? So that said, it is far from being a surprise that mostly these, you know, lobbyists, these, you know, spies, these, bots and trolls target mainly the right wing. The very echo chamber that a lot of these conservatives have locked themselves into, I mean, is very, very easy to amplify the ridiculousness that they have developed in these bubbles. They all believe it. They no longer believe in any of our institutions, especially media. And again, I'm critical of the media, so I can understand that point. Still, there's a difference between facts and whatever the hell they're peddling over there, which isn't even near the reality. And it has a very unfortunate effect on our political system, making them incredibly easy to manipulate for the worst of this country.